Part 2. Chapter 5. The screaming woke Arya at dawn. She was out of bed before Damien, running barefoot toward the sound. Warriors were already gathering at the eastern border, their faces pale with shock and revulsion. "Don't let the children see," she ordered, pushing through the crowd. But she stopped cold when she saw it. A body, staked through the heart with silver, drained of every drop of blood. The corpse's mouth was frozen open in a silent scream, fangs still visible. A vampire. And pinned to his chest with an ornate dagger was a black rose, already wilting in the morning sun. Words were carved into the dead vampire's skin, crude and deliberate. "The king does not request, he takes. Your daughters or your kingdom. You have 3 nights." "Luna?" Kyle approached carefully, his face grim. "We found him about an hour ago." "Whoever did this wanted us to find him." Arya knelt beside the body, her wolf senses analysing everything. The scent was wrong. Vampires had a distinctive smell, cold, like marble and old metal. But this one smelled different underneath, chemical, artificial. "This isn't right," she murmured. "What do you mean?" Damien arrived, dressed hastily, his protective instincts flaring through their bond. "Are you saying the Vampire King didn't send this threat?" "I'm saying something's off." Arya touched the black rose carefully. It crumbled at her touch, revealing something hidden in the petals, a small vial of silver liquid. Wolfsbane extract. Concentrated enough to kill with a single drop. "A trap," Kyle said flatly. "Or a message." Arya stood, her hand unconsciously moving to her belly. The baby, her son, kicked hard, as if sensing danger. Her pregnancy was already 4 months along, but she looked ready to deliver any day. White wolf pregnancies were accelerated, her mother had warned. What took normal wolves nearly a year would take her perhaps 6 months. She didn't have much time. "Double the patrols," she ordered, "and someone contact the vampire territories. I want to know if their king actually sent this, or if we're being played." That afternoon, absolutely not. Alpha Marcus, Damien's head elder, not to be confused with the traitor uncle who'd been executed, slammed his fist on the council table. "We will not negotiate with vampires. The blood feuds go back centuries." "Children are missing," Arya said, keeping her voice level even though she wanted to rip the old wolf's throat out. "Supernatural children." "Doesn't that matter to you?" "Not as much as protecting our pack from bloodsuckers." Marcus looked at Damien. "Alpha, you can't seriously be considering this alliance. Your father would be ashamed." Damien's jaw tightened. Through their bond, Arya felt his conflict, torn between pack tradition and supporting his mate. "My father also rejected progress. Look where that got us. Your father kept us alive. My father nearly destroyed us with his prejudice." Damien's power flooded the room, making even the elders bow their heads in submission. "I am Alpha now, and I support my Luna in this." But Arya could feel the doubt through their bond, the fear, the weight of centuries of hatred. "It's okay," she said quietly, touching his hand. "I'll handle this. Arya, trust me." She looked at the council. "The vampire territories are not my pack's problem. They're mine. As Luna Queen of the Free Territory, I make my own alliances." "You're pregnant," Marcus spat. "With his heir, how can you risk—" "Don't!" Arya's eyes flashed white. "Don't you dare use my pregnancy as a weapon. I carried twins while running for my life and being slowly killed by a broken bond. I think I can handle some diplomatic negotiations." The room fell silent. Kyle spoke up from his position by the door. "If the Luna Queen goes, I go with her, as head of her personal guard." "As do I," Damien added, though Arya could feel his pack's disapproval through the pack bonds he still maintained. Then it settled. Arya stood, her hand on her growing belly. "We wait for the Vampire King's response, and we prepare for whatever comes." That night, Lucian Draven arrived at midnight, not with an army, not with threats, just himself and 2 guards, standing at the border of Arya's territory with his hands raised in a gesture of peace. "Permission to enter, Lunar Queen?" His voice carried across the clearing, cultured and ancient. "I come in peace." Arya studied him from the safety of her side of the border. The Vampire King was nothing like she'd expected. No dramatic black cloak or theatrical menace. Instead he looked tired, ancient and weary, with dark circles under darker eyes. He wore a simple black suit, his dark hair pulled back, and there was something almost human in the slump of his shoulders. "You may enter," she called back, "but your guards stay at the border." "Agreed." Lucian crossed into her territory alone, moving with that preternatural vampire grace. He stopped 10 feet from her, bowing slightly. "Thank you for seeing me. I understand there was an incident this morning. Your messenger was staked at my border with a death threat carved into his skin." Arya kept her voice neutral. "Care to explain?" "That wasn't my messenger." Lucian's face hardened. "I sent no messenger, no threat. In fact, I've been trying to contact you through proper diplomatic channels for weeks. Your mother, the High Priestess, can verify this." "Then who—" "Marcus Thorne." The name came out like a curse. A rogue vampire warlord. Older than me, stronger than me, and completely insane. Lucian met her eyes. "He's the one taking the children." Arya felt ice in her veins. "What children?" "Supernatural children, across the world. Werewolf pups, witch children, fey younglings, vampire spawn." Lucian's voice cracked slightly. 53 confirmed missing in the last 6 months, including my daughter." "Your daughter?" "Isadora." He pulled out a photograph with hands that trembled slightly. A pale girl with dark curls and sadder eyes than any child should have. "She was turned at 12, 300 years ago. She's still a child in our years." And he took her. Arya took the photo, her heart breaking. Why? Their essence, their power. Lucian's fangs showed slightly, rage bleeding through his control. He drains them slowly, using their supernatural energy to make himself immortal, unkillable, a god among vampires. "And you want my help? My seers say only the Trinity bond can find them. Your daughters." He looked at her with desperate hope. "They can sense supernatural energy in ways even vampires cannot. If anyone can locate Marcus's compound, it's them. They're 6 years old." Arya's voice turned dangerous. "I'm not using my children as bloodhounds." "I'm not asking you to put them in danger." Lucian raised his hands. "Just let them try to sense where the children are, from safety. Please. Isadora is all I have left." Through her bond with Damien, Arya felt his immediate refusal, felt Cale's suspicion radiating from where he stood in the shadows. Every instinct screamed not to trust vampires. But she looked at the photo again, at this child, this 300-year-old child, who'd been stolen and was being drained of her life force. "I need to discuss this with my family," she said finally. Lucian nodded, understanding. "I'll wait. However long you need." The next morning, "Absolutely not." Damien's voice was firm. "I will not risk our daughters on some vampire's word." "What if it was our son?" Arya countered. They were in their bedroom, the twins playing outside, under heavy guard. What if someone took him, and the only hope was another supernatural's children helping to find him? "That's different." "Is it?" Damien raked his hands through his hair, frustrated. "Arya, I can't. I almost lost you once. I've barely had these girls in my life for a year. Now you want me to let them help hunt a vampire warlord?" "I want them to try to sense where he is. That's all. From here safe, with guards." Arya took his hands. "Damien, there are 53 children out there, being tortured, drained. If we can help, at what cost?" But she could feel him weakening. Feel the father in him responding to the thought of stolen children. A knock interrupted them. Kyle entered, his face pale. "We have a problem," he said quietly. "Marcus Thorne. I know that name." "How?" Cale's hands were shaking, actually shaking. Arya had never seen him lose control like this. He's the one who killed my mate, my son. 8 years ago, they were visiting her family's pack when he attacked, looking for alpha bloodlines to harvest. He slaughtered 43 wolves that night. His voice broke, including my family. Silence filled the room. "I'm sorry," Arya whispered. "Don't be sorry. Help me kill him." Kyle's eyes had gone full silver, his wolf barely contained. "Please, let me have this. Let me avenge them." Arya looked at Damien, at Kichel, at the photo of little Isadora that she'd kept, and she made her choice. We help, but carefully, intelligently, and the twins stay protected at all costs. 2 days later. The school incident. Mutt. Celine's head snapped up. She and Lyra were in the courtyard of their new school, a mixed academy where human, werewolf, witch and other supernatural children learned together. Arya's vision of unity in action. Or it was supposed to be. "What did you call me?" Celine's eyes flashed gold. The bigger boy, a werewolf from one of the traditional packs, sneered. "You heard me. Your dad is a rogue. Your mum was rejected. That makes you mutts." "Take it back." Celine's small fists clenched. "Why should I? Everyone knows your real dad didn't even want you. That's why he threw your mum away like trash." Lyra grabbed Celine's arm. "Don't. He's not worth it." But Celine had her father's temper. She lunged. What happened next was over in seconds. Celine shifted, a partial transformation that should have been impossible at her age, and had the boy on the ground, her fangs at his throat, before any adult could intervene. "My father wanted us," she snarled in that double-toned voice. "He just didn't know about us. There's a difference." Celine Blackwood. A teacher's voice, sharp with shock. Selene released the boy and shifted back, her eyes returning to normal. She looked at Lyra, who was crying, and felt guilt pierce through her rage. "I'm sorry," she whispered. But the damage was done. That night, fighting at school, Damien tried to sound stern, but Arya could feel his pride through their bond. Pride that his daughter had defended their family, even if the method was wrong. Selene sat on the couch, looking small and defiant, all at once. "He called us mutts. So you attacked him?" Arya knelt in front of her daughter. "Selene, you can't solve every problem with violence." "Why not? You do." Celine's eyes flashed gold. "You fought the witches. You fight anyone who threatens us. Why can't I?" "Because you're 6 years old," Damien said quietly, "and because we want you to have the childhood we didn't. One where strength isn't the only answer." "But the kids at school, they say you didn't want us, that you threw Mommy away." Celine's voice cracked. "Is that true?" Damien's face crumpled. He pulled Celine into his arms, holding her tight. "I made a terrible mistake 6 years ago. I let people lie to me and make me doubt your mother. But I have never, not for 1 second, since I learned about you, not wanted you. You and your sister are the best parts of me." "Then why weren't you there?" Selene whispered. "When we were little? Uncle Kyle was there? Why weren't you?" "Because I didn't know. And that's something I have to live with forever." Damien kissed the top of her head. "But I'm here now, and I'm never leaving again." Selena was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Promise?" "Promise." Lyra, who'd been watching from the doorway, climbed onto the couch too. "We forgive you, Daddy, right, Selene?" Selena hesitated, then nodded. "But you have to prove it. You have to keep the promise." "I will," Damien swore, "every single day." Arya watched her family and felt her son kick inside her, felt the future pressing close. They had so little time before everything changed again. The vision, that night, Lyra woke up screaming. Arya reached her first, pulling her daughter into her arms. "Baby, what's wrong?" "The children," Lyra sobbed. "I can see them. There's so many, Mommy, in cages. They're crying, they're hurting." "It's just a dream." "No." Lyra grabbed Arya's face, her eyes glowing silver instead of gold. It's real. I can see it. There's a warehouse, near water, and there's a pale girl with sad eyes. She's asking me to help. Arya's blood ran cold. Isadora. Lyra nodded. She's been there the longest. She's trying to keep the others safe, but she's so tired, Mum. So tired. Damien appeared in the doorway. What's happening? Our daughter is having visions. Arya held Lyra close, feeling her tremble. A new power. She can see the missing children. Can you see where? Kale asked, materializing behind Damien. Lyra, can you tell where they are? Lyra closed her eyes, concentrating. Shipping containers. I can smell salt and rust. Old metal. There's a sign, but I can't. She gasped. Red Hook. The sign says Red Hook. Brooklyn, Kyle said immediately. The old shipping district. Half of it's been abandoned for decades. That's where he is. Arya stood, still holding Lyra. That's where Marcus has them. Lucian, who'd been staying as a guest while they planned, appeared in the hallway. You found them? Maybe. We need to verify. Arya's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered, her heart already sinking. A video loaded, and her world stopped. Selene. Her fierce, brave Selene was in a silver cage. Her skin was grey, her breathing laboured. Wolf's bane poisoning. And standing behind her, blade at her throat, was a vampire who looked like death incarnate. Marcus Thorne. Hello, White Luna. His voice was cultured and cold. I believe you have something I want. Your daughter's blood could make me a god. Come alone, or I start cutting pieces off this one. You have until midnight. The video ended with Selene crying. Actually crying. Something Arya had rarely seen. Lyra collapsed, feeling her twins' agony through their bond. Damien roared, his wolf exploding forward. Kyle had to hold him back from smashing everything in sight. But Arya watched the video again. And again. And she saw what they didn't. Selene's fingers tapping against the silver bars in a pattern. Their secret language. The one they'd developed when they were 4, when Selene first started sneaking out to train. T-R-A-P. C-O-M-E-R-E-A-D-Y, trap. Come ready. Her 6-year-old daughter wasn't just bait. She was the hunter. Arya, we can't, Damien started. She wants us to come. Arya's voice was deadly calm. She's telling us it's a trap, but to come anyway. She has a plan. She's 6. Damien's wolf was clawing at his skin. She can't. She's our daughter. Arya met his eyes. She's been training with Kyle in secret for 2 years. She's the most dominant wolf I've ever seen besides you. And she's telling us she's ready. For what? To be the bait that catches a monster. Arya looked at Lucian, at Kyle, at her mate. Marcus wants me to come alone, so that's exactly what I'll do. Over my dead body, Damien growled. No. Arya's eyes flashed white. Over his. She turned to Lucian. Get your vampires ready, we're going to war. Arya. Damien grabbed her arm. She placed his hand on her belly, where their son kicked frantically. Trust her. Trust me. Trust that we raised a daughter strong enough to fight back. Her voice softened. I know you're scared. I'm terrified. But Selene is telling us she can do this, and we have to believe her. Through their bond, she felt Damien's terror, his love, his desperate need to protect his family, and finally, his trust. We do this smart, he said. We do this as a team, and we bring our daughter home. Together, Arya agreed. Lyra, still pale and shaking, stood up. I'm coming too. Absolutely not, Damien started. She's my twin. Lyra's eyes blazed with determination. I can feel her. I can guide you to her, and she needs me. Arya looked at her gentle daughter, who'd inherited her healing powers and kind heart. Looked at this 6-year-old who was willing to walk into hell for her sister. Then we all go, she said. As a family. They had until midnight, Marcus Thorne was about to learn that threatening a Lunar Queen's daughter was the last mistake he'd ever make. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 6. 3 hours earlier. Celine's POV. Celine had been planning this for 3 days. Not the kidnapping. That part was Marcus's idea. But letting herself be kidnapped, that was all hers. She watched from the shadows of the school courtyard as the adults argued in the main house. Mum was scared. She could smell it even from here. Dad was angry. He was always angry when they were threatened. And Uncle Cale had that look he got when he remembered his family, the dead ones. "Are you sure about this?" Lyra whispered beside her. "No." Selene looked at her twin, her mirror, her other half, her best friend and fiercest rival. "But we heard them, Lyra. They're scared to use us. Too scared to let us help. But those kids, I saw them." Lyra's eyes went distant. "They're hurting so much. Then we do this, like we planned." Selene grabbed her sister's hand. "You stay here. Maintain the link. No matter what happens, you keep that connection open so they can find me." "What if he hurts you?" "He won't." Selene smiled, and it was all teeth. She'd learned that smile from Dad. "I won't let him." "You're braver than me," Lyra said softly. "No, you're braver. You have to stay behind and trust me." Selene squeezed her hand. "I love you. I love you too. Come back to me. Always." So when the vampire appeared at the edge of the courtyard, moving too fast, smelling like death and madness, Selene didn't run. She let him grab her, let him think she was an easy target, let him inject her with wolfsbane that burned like fire in her veins. But as the world went grey and fuzzy, she kept the link to Lyra open. A psychic beacon, just like Grandma Elena had taught them. "I'm here," she thought toward her twin. "Follow me." And then everything went dark. Selene woke in a cage. Silver bars. The metal burned her skin where she touched it, and the wolfsbane made her wolf feel distant and weak. But she was alive. And more importantly, she was exactly where she needed to be. The warehouse was massive, an old shipping facility that smelled like rust and salt and something worse. Something that made her wolf whimper. Blood. Old blood. So much death. "You're awake." Selena's head snapped up. The voice came from the cage next to hers, a pale girl with dark curls and eyes like midnight. She looked maybe 12, but something about her felt ancient. "Who are you?" Selena asked. "Isadora." The girl's voice was hoarse, like she hadn't used it in a long time. "You're one of the twins, the Lunar Queen's daughters." "How did you know?" "You smell like moonlight." Isadora moved closer to the bars between their cages. "Like hope. We haven't had hope here in a very long time." Selene looked around properly for the first time. Cages. Dozens of them. And in each one, children. A werewolf pup who couldn't be more than 4, curled into a ball and whimpering. Twin witch children holding hands, their eyes dull with despair. 3 fey offspring with their wings torn and broken. 2 small phoenixes whose fire had dimmed to embers. And more. So many more. 37 children, Selene counted. All of them hurt. All of them terrified. All of them waiting to die. "What does he do to you?" Selene whispered. Isadora's face went blank. "He drains us. Slowly. Takes our essence, our power, our life and drinks it down like wine." Her hands shook. "I've been here 50 years. I've watched him take others, watched them wither and die. He keeps me alive because vampire essence is more potent, but even I'm running out." 50 years. This child had been caged and tortured for 50 years. Selene felt her wolf snarl, pushing against the wolfsbane. "He's going to pay for this." "How?" "You're 6 years old and in a silver cage. I'm also an alpha." Selene grabbed the bars. Ignoring the burn, And my mum is coming, and when she gets here she's going to destroy him." For the first time, Isadora smiled. It was small and broken, but it was real. "I really hope so." 2 hours earlier, Marcus Thorne arrived with the sunset. He wasn't what Celine expected. She'd pictured a monster, something twisted and evil-looking. But Marcus looked normal, handsome even, in an ancient sort of way. Brown hair, sharp features, expensive suit. It was his eyes that gave him away. Dead. Completely dead, like looking into empty graves. "The little Alpha," he said, approaching her cage. "You came so willingly. Did you think you could play hero?" "I think I can kill you," Selene said honestly. Marcus laughed. It sounded like breaking glass. "Oh, I like you. So much fire. Your blood is going to taste exquisite." He leaned closer. "Your blood smells like salvation, little wolf. Like I could drink it and finally be free of this curse." "What curse?" "Immortality." The word came out like a sob. "Do you know what it's like to watch everyone you love die? To live for 800 years remembering their faces, their screams?" He touched the bars of her cage almost gently. "I was human once. I had a wife, a daughter, a son. Beautiful, all of them. And werewolves came in the night and tore them apart while I was turned, forced to watch, unable to die with them." Despite herself, Celine felt a flicker of sympathy. "I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Help me." His dead eyes bored into hers. "If I consume enough pure supernatural essence, alpha blood, royal blood, innocent blood, I can reverse the curse. I can go back. I can become human again and finally die and be with them." "By killing children?" Celine's sympathy evaporated. "You think your family would want this? Would want you to become a monster?" "I'm already a monster." Marcus's control shattered. "I've been a monster for 8 centuries. This is my only chance to be human again." He pulled out a knife, ceremonial, ancient, covered in runes. "I'm sorry, little Alpha, but your blood is the key. Royal Alpha twins. Born of the White Wolf. Your essence combined could give me enough power to break the curse." "You'll have to take it," Celine snarled, her wolf pushing forward despite the wolfsbane. "Oh, I intend to." Marcus smiled, and it was the saddest, most terrible thing Celine had ever seen. "But first, I'm going to use you as bait. Your mother, the White Luna, will come for you. And when she does, I'll have an entire army of supernatural beings in one place. Imagine what I could do with all that power." He walked away, leaving Celine shaking with rage and fear. "He's insane," Isadora whispered. "Yeah." Selena checked the link to Lyra. Still strong, still open. "They're coming," she thought. "Get ready." "Get ready for what?" Isadora asked. Selena smiled, and this time it was all her mother's ferocity. "For war." Flashback. 2 years ago. "Again," Kyle ordered. 4-year-old Selene picked herself up from the dirt for the 10th time. Her body ached. Her wolf was exhausted, but she wasn't going to quit. "She's too young for this," Mom's voice said from the doorway. "She's strong enough." Kyle looked at Arya. "You said you wanted them to be able to protect themselves. This is how." "I said basic self-defense. You're training her like a warrior." "Because that's what she is." Kyle knelt in front of Selena. "What are you?" "An alpha," Selena said firmly. "And what do alphas do?" "We protect our pack." "Even when it's scary?" "Especially when it's scary." Kyle smiled and ruffled her hair. "Good girl. Again." Later, Grandma Elena came with Lyra. While Selene trained physically, Lyra trained magically, learning the old ways, the goddess's gifts, the power that lived in their blood. "You're moonborn," Elena told them, her voice serious. "Born under a lunar eclipse, daughters of the White Wolf, carriers of the Trinity bond. You were prophesied, my darlings." "What's a prophecy?" Lyra asked. "A promise from the goddess. You two—" Elena touched both their heads gently. "You will either unite the supernatural world or watch it burn." The choice will be yours." "That's a lot of pressure," Celine said. "Yes, but I believe you can handle it." Elena smiled. "Because you're not just alphas. You're Blackwoods, and we don't give up." Present. The rescue mission, Arya clutched her stomach as another contraction hit. "Not now," she gasped. "Please, not now." "The baby doesn't care about timing," Elena said grimly. She was checking Arya's dilation, her face grim. "You're at 6 centimeters. This is happening. I have to get to Celine. You're not going anywhere." Damien's voice was firm, but she could feel his terror through their bond. Their mate bond was screaming at him to stay, to protect, to keep his pregnant mate safe. But his father's bond was demanding he save his daughter. He was being torn in two. "Go," Arya said, grabbing his hand. "Lead them. Save our daughter. I'll be fine. You're in labor in a warehouse. I've done harder things." She tried to smile. "Remember? Premature twin labor in a bus station with only a stranger to help? At least this time, I have my mother and Lyra." Lyra was pressed against the wall, her eyes distant and glowing silver, maintaining the link to Celine, guiding the rescue team. "They're close," she whispered. "Celine knows. She's getting ready." Damien kissed Arya hard, desperately. "I love you, all of you. I'll bring her home." "I know you will." He left, and Arya felt his presence move away through the bond, felt him join Kyle, Lucian, and the combined forces of werewolves, vampires, rogues, and witches, the first alliance in 500 years. And it might not be enough. The assault Damien had fought in many battles, but never like this. Vampires and werewolves fighting side by side felt wrong. Every instinct screamed at him to attack the bloodsuckers, not protect them. And he could see the same conflict in his wolves' eyes. "Focus," Kyle snarled, taking point. "The enemy is inside, not beside you." They hit the warehouse like a hurricane. Marcus's forces were ready. Rogue vampires, dark witches, mercenary shifters. The battle was brutal and chaotic. Blood flew. Screams echoed. Damien's wolf tore through enemies, his only thought, "Get to Celine. Protect my daughter." Inside, deeper in the warehouse, Celine felt the battle begin. "Now," she told Isadora, "everyone get ready." "Ready for what?" one of the witch children asked weakly. "To be saved." Celine grabbed the silver bars of her cage, ignoring the agony as they burned her palms. And then she did something she'd only managed once before in training with Kale. Alpha command. But not on wolves, on metal. "Break!" she roared, her voice layered with power that shouldn't exist in a 6-year-old. The silver bars, forged in pack territory, carrying the essence of her bloodline, obeyed. They shattered like glass. Celine fell out of her cage, her hands burned and bleeding, the wolfsbane still making her weak. But she was free. "How did you—" Isadora stared. "Alphas dominate everything in our territory." Celine grinned through the pain. "Including metal. Uncle Kale taught me. Now come on." She broke Isadora's cage next, then moved to the others. One by one, the children were freed. 37 supernatural children, tortured and terrified, but still alive, still able to fight. "Follow Isadora," Celine commanded. "She'll get you out. I'm going to find Marcus." "You can't," one of the werewolf pups protested. "I'm an alpha." Celine's eyes blazed gold. "This is what we do." Isadora hadn't spoken in 50 years, hadn't felt anything in 50 years. But now, freed by this tiny, fierce werewolf who smelled like moonlight and hope, she felt everything rush back. The rage, the grief, the fury at what had been done to her. To these children. "Stay behind me," she told the freed children. Her voice was hoarse but steady. A rogue vampire appeared, fangs bared. Isadora moved. 300 years of bottled rage exploded out of her. She became a whirlwind of fangs and fury, moving faster than any vampire present. She'd been a child when turned, but she'd been a vampire for centuries. and centuries of torture had made her lethal. The rogue vampire fell. Throat torn out before he could scream. "Anyone else want to try?" Isadora's voice was sweet and deadly. The children behind her, these broken, tortured innocents, found their own fury. The witch twins cast fire. The Fey children used the remnants of their magic. The phoenix hatchlings burst into weak flames, and the werewolf pups shifted, their small wolves fierce and desperate. They became a swarm of supernatural vengeance, and nothing could stop them. Marcus found Celine in the centre of the warehouse. "Impressive," he said, looking at the broken cages, "but futile." He pulled out a device, a detonator. "I've implanted each child with a magical explosive, programmed to my heartbeat. If I die, they all die. So you see, little Alpha, you can't win." Selena's heart sank. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Marcus's smile was insane. "Try me." "The birth." "Push," Elena commanded. Arya screamed, pushing with everything she had. Another contraction, another wave of agony. The baby was coming fast. Too fast. White wolf pregnancies were unpredictable at the best of times, but this was chaos. "I can see the head." Elena's voice was excited. "Lyra, I need you." Lyra snapped out of her trance, moving to help her grandmother. Together they guided the baby into the world. And when he emerged, the baby was already shifted. A white wolf pup, tiny and perfect, with eyes that glowed like stars. He opened his mouth and howled. The sound was divine. It resonated with pure moon goddess energy, freezing every fighter in the warehouse mid-motion. Werewolves, vampires, witches, all of them stopped, unable to move, as the newborn's power washed over everything. Marcus screamed as the sound burned him, like holy fire against his corrupted soul, and the baby's power, this pure, innocent, divine energy, deactivated every spell in the building, including the explosives. "No." Marcus clutched his head. "No, this is impossible. A child can't." "He's not just a child." Arya's voice was weak but fierce. She held her newborn son, still in wolf form, still glowing. "He's a white wolf prince, and you just lost." In that moment of frozen silence, Kale reached Marcus. "Her name was Lily," he whispered, driving a wooden stake through the vampire's heart. "Remember it in hell." Marcus's eyes widened. In that final moment, clarity returned to his dead gaze. Horror at what he'd become. Grief for what he'd lost. "I'm sorry," he breathed. "Lily, my Lily, I'm so sorry." And then he crumbled to ash. But as he died, his mouth curved into a smile, not insane, but knowing, prophetic. "I'm just the appetizer," his final words echoed through the warehouse. "The real gods are waking. Tell the white Luna, Ragnarok comes for her daughters." The warehouse groaned. The building, weakened by battle and the explosive spell's deactivation, began to collapse. "Everyone out," Damien roared. "Now!" 37 children, dozens of warriors from 3 different supernatural factions, and a newborn who wouldn't stop glowing. They had 90 seconds to escape. "Move!" Kyle grabbed 3 children, hauling them toward the exit. Lucian scooped up Isadora, who'd collapsed from exhaustion. "I've got you, daughter. You're safe now." Damien fought through the crowd, following his bond to Arya. He found her in a back office, covered in blood, holding their newborn son. "Time to go," he said, lifting her into his arms. "The baby is perfect, is glowing, is somehow still a wolf." Damien kissed her forehead. "We'll figure it out later. Right now, we run." They ran, all of them, streaming out of the warehouse like a flood. Children crying, warriors limping, vampires carrying the wounded. The building collapsed behind them with a sound like thunder, and in the wreckage, Marcus Thorne's final words echoed, "Ragnarok comes for her daughters." Arya held her newborn son, watched her daughters run to her, Celine limping but alive, Lyra crying with relief. and felt Damien's arms around all of them. They'd won. They'd saved the children. But something worse was coming. The baby finally shifted back to human form in Arya's arms. A perfect, healthy boy with white blonde hair and his father's amber eyes. "What should we name him?" Damien whispered. Arya looked at her son, who'd been born in battle and had saved them all with his first breath. "Fenrir," she said, "after the wolf who heralds the end of the world, because I have a feeling he's going to change everything." The baby, Fenrir, opened his eyes and smiled, and somewhere in the darkness beyond their victory, ancient things stirred. The real war was just beginning. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 7. 2 weeks after the warehouse, Arya's territory looked like a war zone painted in hope. Tents covered every available space, housing 37 traumatized children who had nowhere else to go. The werewolf pups clung to each other at night, whimpering from nightmares. The witch children startled at loud noises. The Fae offspring kept their broken wings hidden under blankets, ashamed. And Isadora, 300-year-old Isadora, who looked 12, hadn't spoken a single word since her rescue, though she followed Celine everywhere like a shadow. Arya moved through the makeshift camp, checking on each child despite her exhaustion. Her body ached, her wolf felt distant, and Orion, her beautiful, impossible son, hadn't stopped glowing since birth. "Lunar Queen." A healer approached, her face worried. "The Moonson needs to feed again." Arya nodded wearily. Moonsion. That's what the ancient wolves called him. A divine wolf born once every 1,000 years, blessed by the moon goddess herself, born fully shifted, radiating holy light, capable of deactivating magic with his presence. Also, apparently capable of draining his mother's life force with every feeding. She made her way to the nursery, a reinforced room where Orion slept under constant guard. He was awake, his tiny body still in wolf form, his white fur glowing like captured starlight. When he saw her, he made a small yipping sound that broke her heart. "I know, baby. I know you're hungry." Arya picked him up, feeling the immediate pull as he began to feed. Not milk, energy, pure life force flowing from her into him through their bond. It hurt. God, it hurt. Like her soul was being slowly drained away. "Arya." Damien appeared in the doorway, his face etched with worry. "You can't keep doing this." "Let me try." "He needs me specifically," the healer said. Another wave of exhaustion hit. She swayed. Damien caught her, taking Orion carefully. The baby protested, his glow dimming with distress. "We'll figure something out. Maybe your mother knows. My mother is preparing for the trial." Arya's voice turned bitter. The High Council's summons arrived this morning. She'd known it was coming, the moment they'd broken the Treaty of Blood Moon, the 500-year-old pact that kept supernatural species separated. Their fates had been sealed. "When?" Damien asked quietly. 3 days. They're charging me with treason against the supernatural order. You and Lucian are named as co-conspirators." She looked at him. "They want to execute us and divide our children among the packs to prevent dangerous unity." Through their bond, she felt his rage, his terror, his desperate need to protect their family. "Let them try," he growled. "They will." Arya took Orion back, who immediately resumed feeding. And they might succeed. The High Council represents every species: werewolves, vampires, witches, fae, dragons. If they rule against us, there's nowhere to run. Then we fight. With what army? Your pack is splitting apart, Damien. Half of them want you to denounce me to save the Shadowfang pack. It was true. Arya could hear them through the pack bonds Damien still maintained. The arguments, the fear, the anger. Traditional wolves who couldn't accept their alpha mating with a rejected Luna. Elders who saw the alliance with vampires as betrayal of everything they believed. The other half stands loyal, Damien said firmly, for now. But when the council threatens to strip your pack status, to scatter your wolves, how many will stay loyal then? Damien had no answer. The next day, Shadow Fang Pack territory. You're making a mistake. Elder Marcus, the head elder, not to be confused with Damien's traitorous uncle, stood before the assembled pack. Our alpha has abandoned pack law for a female who was rejected, who brought vampires into our lands, who endangers us all with her ambition. Careful. Damien's voice was deadly quiet. That's my mate you're speaking about. Is she? Or is she the Lunar Queen of a rival territory? Marcus looked around the gathered wolves. Where is your loyalty, Alpha? To the pack that raised you, or to the female who's tearing us apart? Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Arya stood beside Damien, feeling his conflict through their bond. He loved his pack, had been raised to put pack above all else, but he also loved her, loved their children. He was being forced to choose, and both choices meant loss. I choose both, Damien said finally. I am Alpha of Shadowfang. I am also mate to the Lunar Queen and father to her children. I refuse to pretend these things are mutually exclusive. Then you're a fool, Marcus spat. And when the council executes her, don't expect this pack to follow you into death. Then leave, the words exploded from Damien. Anyone who can't accept my mate, my family, my choices, go. I won't stop you, but I also won't apologize for finally doing what's right instead of what's easy. Silence. Then slowly, wolves began to move. Some left, heading for the pack house exits, maybe a third of the assembled pack, including several elders, but the rest stayed. Younger wolves mostly. Warriors who'd fought beside vampires and lived. Families who'd seen the rescued children and understood what they'd accomplished. We stand with our Alpha, one warrior called out, and with the Lunar Queen. Others echoed the sentiment. Not everyone, not even most, but enough. Damien looked at Arya, and she saw the grief in his eyes. His pack was fracturing. Everything he'd worked for, everything his father had built, was falling apart. I'm sorry, she whispered. Don't be. He took her hand. You're worth it. They're worth it. And someday they'll understand. Meanwhile, Kyle's choice. Think about what I'm offering. Elder Marcus had cornered Kyle after the pack meeting. Leadership of the Shadowfang pack, everything you lost when you became rogue, status, respect. A pack to call your own, all of it returned. Kyle stared at the elder, his wolf snarling inside him, in exchange for betraying Arya. In exchange for saving the pack from her influence. Marcus smiled like a snake. Damien is compromised. Everyone can see it. He's choosing his mate over pack welfare. But you're clear-headed. You could lead them properly. Everything Kyle had lost. His mate, dead. His child, murdered. His pack status stripped when he'd gone rogue seeking revenge. 8 years of being an outcast, of building a life from nothing. This was his chance to get it all back. I'd have to testify against her, Kyle said slowly. Simple truth. That she orchestrated an alliance with vampires knowing it broke ancient treaty. That her ambition endangers all wolves. Marcus leaned closer. You'd be saving countless lives. Including hers. The council might show mercy if she's denounced by her own people. It was a lie. Kyle knew it was a lie. But for just a moment, one terrible, tempting moment, he considered it. Arya had given him purpose when he had none, had trusted him with her daughters, had built something beautiful and new where outcasts could find homes. She was his friend, his queen. But she wasn't his mate, would never be his mate. And this was his chance to have everything he'd dreamed of for 8 years. I need time to think, Kale said. Marcus smiled. You have until the trial. The trial, day 1. The council chamber was ancient, carved from a mountain millennia ago. 7 thrones for 7 elders who represented the highest authority of the supernatural world. Around them, hundreds of witnesses from every species: wolves, vampires, witches, fae, even a dragon in the back, scales gleaming. Arya stood in the centre with Damien on her right and Lucian on her left. Her children were in the gallery, guarded by Kale and Elena. Orion was wrapped in blankets that barely contained his glow. The head elder, Aldrich, spoke first. He was ancient. How ancient, no one knew. With silver hair and eyes like ice. Arya Blackwood, formerly Whitlock. You stand accused of breaking the Treaty of Blood Moon, which has maintained peace between species for 500 years. How do you plead? Not guilty. Arya's voice was steady despite her exhaustion. The evidence suggests otherwise. Aldrich gestured, and images appeared in the air, magical projections showing the battle at the warehouse. Wolves and vampires fighting together, the alliance that had saved 37 children. You forged an alliance with the Vampire King. You brought his kind into werewolf territory. You united forces that have been enemies since the dawn of time. To save children, Arya said. Innocent children who were being tortured and murdered. Would you have me let them die to preserve your treaty? The treaty exists for a reason. Another elder, a vampire named Serena, leaned forward. Our species cannot coexist. History has proven this time and again. Every attempt at unity has ended in bloodshed. Because people like you ensure it does, Arya shot back, gasps from the gallery. You didn't speak to elders like that. Aldrich's eyes narrowed. Careful, girl. Your life hangs by a thread. Then cut it. Arya stepped forward, her wolf rising. I'm tired of these games. You say you want peace between species, but what you really want is control. As long as we're divided, you rule. United, we might realize we don't need you. Treason, Serena shrieked, but Aldrich raised a hand, silencing her. Interesting theory. Have you any proof? I do. Lucian stepped forward, pulling out ancient journals. 300 years of documentation, every major supernatural war for the past millennium, and the elders' fingerprints on all of them. Stoking conflicts, ensuring ancient grudges never heal, feeding on the chaos. He threw the journals at the elders' feet. You're not peacekeepers. You're parasites. The chamber erupted, wolves howling, vampires hissing, witches shouting spells of truth detection over the journals. Order! Aldrich's voice boomed with power, forcing silence. These are serious accusations. Then let me add another. A witch strode into the chamber, tall, dark-skinned, radiating power. Morgana, Elena's ally. The elders killed the original White Wolf bloodline 3 centuries ago, murdered every carrier because the White Wolves threatened to unite the species. More chaos. Arya felt the chamber's energy shift. Shock, disbelief, rage. Lies, Serena hissed. Are they? Morgana looked at Arya. You're not just a White Wolf. You're the White Wolf. A reincarnation of the original Lunar Queen. The moon goddess's answer to the elders' corruption. Arya's blood ran cold. What? Your death and rebirth were prophesied. The rejection, the twins, the moonson, all of it planned by the goddess herself to circumvent the elders' magic. Morgana smiled grimly. Your children aren't just powerful, Lunar Queen. They're weapons, born to end the elders' reign. The 7 elders went very still. If this is true, Aldrich said slowly, then we must consider the girl and her spawn to be active threats to the supernatural order. We vote, Serena said immediately. Execution or mercy, now. The elders voted. 3 for execution, including Serena. 3 for mercy. Surprising, but Arya didn't trust it. 1 abstention, Aldrich. As head elder, Aldrich said, the deciding vote falls to me. The chamber held its breath. I propose a compromise. Aldrich's smile was cold. The Lunar Queen may live, But she must give up one child to be raised by this council as insurance against rebellion, a guarantee of good behaviour. Silence. Then, no. Damien lunged for Aldrich, shifting mid-leap. Lucian's fangs extended, his vampiric speed carrying him toward the throne. Kyle drew his blade, moving to protect the children. But Arya stood perfectly still, her exhaustion burning away in pure rage. You want insurance? Her voice echoed with power. You fear unity? Then let me show you what you should truly fear. Her white wolf emerged, but not like before. Not the simple white-furred wolf she'd been. This was something more, something divine. Her fur radiated starlight, her eyes held galaxies. Her presence was crushing, making every being in the chamber drop to their knees, even the elders. Mum! Lyra and Selene ran to her side, and they shifted, their first public shift. Silver and black, standing proud beside their mother. Orion's glow intensified, his tiny wolf form radiating pure divine energy. The four of them together created a pillar of light that shot upward, cracking the ancient chamber ceiling, reaching through miles of mountain to touch the moon itself. And the moon goddess spoke. Her voice echoed through every supernatural being's mind worldwide. Not just those in the chamber, but everyone. Every wolf, every vampire, every witch, every fae. The entire supernatural world heard her. My daughters have returned. The old reign ends. Choose your side, chains or freedom. The elders' forms began to shift. Their beautiful ancient facades cracked and fell away like masks. Underneath were things that made Arya's wolf whimper. Writhing masses of shadow and hunger. Parasitic entities that fed on conflict and chaos. They weren't supernatural beings at all. They were something older, something wrong. Interesting. Aldrich's voice came from the nightmare he'd become, a towering thing of darkness with too many eyes. I'd hoped to contain you for a few more years, let you ripen. But if you insist on accelerating the timeline. He moved faster than thought, crossing the chamber in an instant. But not for Arya, for Elena. Arya's mother screamed as Aldrich grabbed her, a blade, obsidian, ancient, hungry, appearing at her throat. Let me tell you how this works, Lunar Queen. Aldrich's voice was pleasant despite his monstrous form. You and your spawn are weapons. Powerful, certainly, but untrained, unprepared. You've barely scratched the surface of what you can do, and you're already exhausted from feeding that glowing infant. He pressed the blade harder, drawing blood. Elena gasped. So here's my offer. Stand down. Give up one child as insurance. Let the old order continue. Or, he smiled with too many teeth, I kill your mother, right here, right now. And then I kill everyone in this chamber who supports you, starting with the rescued children. His loyalists moved, other elders revealing their true forms, ancient monsters masquerading as leaders. Their supporters in the chamber, wolves, vampires, witches who'd been corrupted or coerced, drew weapons. If you want a war, Lunar Queen, Aldrich said, you'll start by burying your mother. And then he vanished. A portal opened behind him, swirling darkness that stank of old magic, and he dragged Elena through it. The portal snapped shut, leaving only echoes of her scream. Mom! Arya lunged forward, but the portal was gone. The chamber exploded into violence. Elder loyalists attacked the reformers. Wolves fought wolves, vampires turned on each other, spells flew, blood sprayed. The ancient peace shattered completely. Protect the children, Damien roared, shifting fully to his massive black wolf form. Kyle appeared beside Lyra and Selene, his blade flashing as he cut down an attacking vampire. Get to the exits now. Lucian fought his way toward Isadora, who finally spoke. Just one word. But it was enough. Papa! He swept her into his arms, fangs bared at anyone who came close. But Arya stood frozen, torn between impossible choices. Her mother was gone, taken by a monster wearing the face of authority. Every instinct screamed to pursue, to save her, to tear Aldrich apart for daring to touch her family. But around her, the chamber was a war zone. Her children were in danger. The rescued kids, those 37 traumatized children, were caught in the crossfire. Pursue her mother, or protect her children. Save one family member, or save dozens of innocents. Be a daughter, or be a queen. Arya, Damien's voice desperate. A wolf was lunging for Selene. Luna Queen. Kyle, defending Lyra from 3 attackers at once. Help! One of the rescued children, a tiny werewolf pup, trapped under falling debris. Her mother's scream still echoing in her mind. The choice that would define everything. Arya looked at Orion in his protective basket, still glowing, still draining her life with every second. Looked at her twins, fighting like the warriors they'd secretly become. Looked at the chaos, the violence, the war that had finally come. And she made her choice. Enough! Her white wolf's power exploded outward, not attacking, but commanding. Divine authority that made every being in the chamber freeze. We're leaving. Her voice was the moon goddess's voice, layered with power that couldn't be denied. All of us. Every reformer, every child, every being who chooses freedom over chains. She looked at the remaining elders, still in their monstrous forms. You want war? You'll have it. But not here. Not now. Not when children are in the crossfire. Coward, Serena hissed. No. Arya's eyes blazed with starlight. Strategic. You've had millennia to prepare for this. We've had weeks. But give me time. Give me an army. And I'll show you what the Lunar Queen's wrath truly looks like. She turned to her people. Everyone who stands with me, follow. Now. They moved as one, hundreds of beings streaming toward the exits. Damien's loyal wolves, Lucien's vampire clan, the witch covens who'd sided with reform, the rescued children, and Kyle bringing up the rear with Lyra and Selene. Where are we going? Damien asked as they burst out of the mountain into cold night air. Home. Arya looked at her territory in the distance, then at the moon above. To prepare, to train, to build an army strong enough to face ancient gods. And your mother? Lucien asked gently. Arya's jaw tightened. Through her bond with Elena, one she'd barely known existed, she could feel her mother's terror, her pain, but also her fierce determination. Her message, sent through blood and magic, prepare them. Train the girls. I'll hold on. Come for me when you're ready, not before. We'll save her, Arya said. When we're strong enough, when we won't lose everything in the attempt. She looked at her children, Lyra, Selene, and glowing Orion. The goddess said we're weapons. Then it's time we learned how to fight like it. Behind them, the mountain chamber continued to burn. The trial had become a war. The old order had revealed itself, and the supernatural world would never be the same. But Arya Blackwood, Lunar Queen, White Wolf reborn, mother of the prophesied children, she was done running, done hiding, done letting ancient monsters dictate her family's fate. The real war was beginning, and this time, she was going to win. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 8, Day 1 of 60. The world was burning. Arya stood on the balcony of her compound, no longer a simple territory, but a fortress now. Bristling with guards and wards, watching smoke rise from 3 different directions. The supernatural civil war had consumed everything in just 2 weeks. Moonborn versus the Eldritch Order. Unity versus tradition. Freedom versus the familiar chains. Another pack fell to the Order last night, Damien said from behind her. His voice was rough with exhaustion. He'd been coordinating military operations for 16 hours straight. The Riverbend Pack. They executed the Alpha for supporting us and installed one of their own. How many does that make? Arya asked, though she knew the answer. 14 packs lost, 9 still loyal. The rest are neutral, waiting to see who wins before choosing sides. He came to stand beside her, and she felt his worry through their bond. We're losing ground, Arya. I know. She pressed a hand to her chest, where pain had become a constant companion. Orion's feeding was killing her. Every day she felt weaker. Every day, the light inside her dimmed a little more. She had weeks left, maybe less. There has to be another way, Damien said desperately. Some way to feed him that doesn't drain you. Elena was researching it before. Arya's voice caught. Before Aldrich took her. Before that monster imprisoned her mother to fuel whatever nightmare ritual the elders were planning. Through the bond she barely understood, Arya could feel Elena. Still alive. Still fighting, but fading. Just like Arya herself. 2 women dying to sustain forces beyond their control. 60 days, a voice said from the doorway. Morgana, the witch who'd exposed the elders' crimes, stepped onto the balcony. That's how long we have until the ritual is complete. What ritual? Arya turned. The Eldric Ascension. Aldrich is using Elena, a former avatar of the moon goddess, as a conduit. When the ritual completes, the goddess herself will be enslaved. The elders will become truly immortal, all-powerful, unkillable. Morgana's face was grim, and every supernatural being will be bound to their will, forever. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Then we stop it, Damien said. How? Morgana pulled out an ancient scroll. There is a way to counter their ritual. Elena was researching it before her capture. She managed to send me her notes, but it requires completing the Trinity bond, fully merging your daughter's power with the moon goddess's essence. They're 6 years old, Arya said. They're weapons, Morgana corrected gently. Born for this, and rapidly becoming more. Haven't you noticed? Arya had. The twins were changing, growing faster than they should. Lyra and Celine looked 10 now, their bodies catching up to their emerging powers. It terrified Arya almost as much as Orion's unstoppable glow. What do we need? Damien asked, ever practical. 3 artifacts. Morgana unrolled the scroll, revealing a map marked with ancient symbols. The Moon's Tear, hidden in vampire territory. The Wolf's Fang at the first werewolf holy site, and the Celestial Crown, currently on Elena's head, draining her power to fuel the Elder's immortality. So we need to infiltrate enemy territory 3 times, steal sacred artifacts, and assault Elder headquarters. Arya laughed bitterly. Sounds simple. It's suicide, Damien said flatly. It's necessary. Morgana met their eyes. Because Orion's glow? It's not just divine power. It's a countdown. When it fades completely, he'll either ascend as a god and leave this realm forever, or explode with enough energy to destroy half the continent. You have 60 days before one of those things happens. Arya looked toward the nursery where her son slept under constant supervision. His glow had dimmed slightly over the past week. Not much, but enough to notice. 60 days until she lost her son, or lost everything. Then we split up, she said. 3 teams, 3 artifacts. We do this simultaneously so the elders can't prepare for us. You're in no condition, Damien started. I'm the only one who can face Aldrich. Arya cut him off. He has my mother. This is personal. Through their bond, she felt his protest, his terror, his desperate need to keep her safe. Trust me, she whispered. One more time. Trust me. Damien closed his eyes, then nodded. Always. Day 3, the vampire catacombs. Lucian led Lyra through passages that hadn't seen light in centuries. Behind them, 20 vampire warriors moved in absolute silence. Ahead, somewhere in the darkness, the moon's tear waited. "Uncle Lucian?" Lyra's voice was small. She looked 10 now, but she was still just a little girl scared of the dark. "I'm here." He took her hand. After rescuing Isadora, after seeing his daughter happy for the first time in centuries, Lucian had softened, had remembered what it meant to be a father. "You're safe with me. I know, but I can see things." Lyra's eyes went distant, silver instead of their normal brown. "There's going to be a fight. Someone you love is going to try to hurt us." Lucian's stomach dropped. Victor. His brother, his twin. The vampire who'd chosen the Eldritch Order over family. "He's guarding the moon's tear," Lyra whispered. "He's so angry with you, Uncle Lucian, so hurt." I know. They'd been inseparable once, centuries ago. But ideology had driven them apart. Victor believed in the old ways. Vampires separate from wolves, power through hierarchy, strength through isolation. Lucian believed in the future his daughter represented. A world where species didn't matter. Where children like Isadora and Lyra could be friends instead of enemies. The catacombs opened into a vast chamber, and there, standing before an altar that held a crystal vial of shimmering liquid, was Victor. "Brother," he said coldly, "I hoped you'd come. Victor, please, we don't have to fight." "Yes, we do." Victor's fangs extended. "You've betrayed everything we are, everything Father taught us, consorting with wolves, letting your daughter befriend those animals." "Those animals saved her life." Lucian's control slipped. "Marcus was torturing her. The wolves helped rescue her when your precious order did nothing." "The order maintains balance. The order is corrupt." Lucian stepped forward. "The elders are parasites, Victor. They've been feeding on supernatural conflict for millennia. Everything we believed was a lie. Then I'd rather die for a lie that kept our kind strong than live for a truth that makes us weak." Victor moved, vampire fast, blade in hand. The fight was brutal. Centuries of training, of knowing each other's every move, made them perfectly matched. They'd sparred together as children, fought together as warriors, bled together in 1,000 battles. Now they bled against each other. "Please," Lucian gasped, pinned beneath his brother's blade. "Don't make me kill you." "Then don't." Victor pressed harder. "Just die and let me restore order to our kind." "No." Lyra's scream echoed through the chamber. Power exploded from her. Healing power turned weapon. Divine energy that made Victor stumble back. But Lyra wasn't attacking him. She was showing him something. Visions flooded Victor's mind. Aria could see it in his face. Lyra's gift wasn't just healing bodies, it was healing souls. Showing people truth they couldn't see themselves. Victor saw Marcus's torture chambers, saw the children suffering, saw Isadora's 50 years of agony, and he saw what came after. Isadora laughing, playing, happy for the first time since her turning. She smiled. Victor whispered, tears streaming down his face. My daughter smiled. "Because wolves saved her," Lyra said gently. She was glowing now, silver light pouring from her skin. "Because species don't matter when children are hurting. Please, Uncle Victor, we need the moon's tear. To save my brother. To save everyone." Victor looked at the altar, at his brother, at this child who'd shown him truth he'd been desperate to deny. "The moon's tear," he said hoarsely, "isn't liquid." He moved to the far wall and pressed a hidden switch. A panel slid open, revealing a girl, Isadora. Not the Isadora with Celine back at the compound. Another version. No, a stasis chamber. The real Isadora, preserved here, while what they'd rescued was a projection, Victor said. A magical echo strong enough to walk and talk, but not the true child. Marcus took her decades ago. The Order recovered her during the raid, but kept her in stasis, studying her, because she's the moon's tear, Lyra breathed, a vampire child born under a lunar eclipse, blessed by the goddess. Exactly. Victor opened the chamber with shaking hands. The ritual needs her essence, but that would kill her. And His voice broke. I've already lost her once. I can't lose her again. You won't, Lyra promised. My mum won't let anything happen to her. None of us will. Victor lifted his daughter, the real, sleeping Isadora, from the chamber. She was so small, so fragile. 300 years old and still just a child. Then I'm coming with you, Victor said. The Moonborn need warriors, and I need to see my daughter smile again. Really smile, not just an echo. Lucian embraced his brother, both of them crying. Welcome back. Day 7, the First Pack territory. The First Pack lived like wolves in every sense. No buildings, no clothes, no civilization, just primitive werewolves who'd rejected human society centuries ago and lived as pure predators. Their territory was sacred ground and heavily defended. This is insane, Kyle muttered, as they approached the stone markers that designated the border. The First Pack doesn't negotiate. They don't trade. They barely acknowledge other wolves exist. Then we make them acknowledge us, Celine said. She looked 10 now, but her voice carried alpha command that made grown wolves bow. I'm not afraid of them. You should be, Damien said. But he was proud too. Arya could feel it through their bond. Their daughter was fearless. These wolves have killed alphas for trespassing. They crossed the border. Immediately, they were surrounded. 50 wolves, massive and scarred, all shifted and snarling. No words, no warning, just violence waiting to happen. A wolf, bigger than the rest, the alpha clearly, stepped forward and shifted to human form. He was ancient, covered in ritual scars, wearing only leather and bone. You trespass, he said in a language older than modern packs. You die. We seek the wolf's fang, Damien replied in the same tongue. For the Lunar Queen, for the prophecy. The fang belongs to the worthy. You are not worthy. The alpha gestured, and his wolves tensed to attack. Then let me prove my worth, Celine said, stepping forward. She looked tiny, next to these massive warriors. I challenge your champion, trial by combat. The alpha laughed. You are a pup. I am the Blackwood heir, daughter of the White Wolf, and I'm not leaving without that fang. Celine's eyes flashed pure gold. Face me or yield. Silence. Then the alpha smiled, impressed despite himself. Very well, pup. You may fight, but when you lose, your pack dies with you. The champion was a wolf called Fenris, 7 feet tall in human form, built like a mountain, covered in scars from 100 battles. He shifted to wolf form, and Celine did the same. Black fur against brown. A 6-year-old child against a century-old warrior. It should have been a slaughter. It was. Just not the way anyone expected. Celine had been training in secret for 2 years, had Kale's instruction, Elena's magical lessons, and her father's natural dominance. She was small, but she was fast, and she was vicious in a way that came from knowing she had to be. She danced around Fenris's attacks, using his size against him. She went for joints, for eyes, for any weak point. And when he finally caught her, his jaws closing on her shoulder, she didn't cry out. She bit back harder. The taste of alpha blood in her mouth triggered something primal, something ancient. Her wolf grew, not physically, but in presence. Pure dominance radiating from a child's body. Fenris submitted. The champion of the First Pack, undefeated in 80 years, bowed his head to a 6-year-old. The alpha stared, shocked. Then he began to laugh. The Fang heir, the prophecy was true. He shifted and bowed to Selene. The First Pack recognizes you, child of the moon. You may take the Fang, and we will follow you to war. Just like that? Kyle asked, stunned. The prophecy said a child born of 2 worlds would lead us back to glory. We thought it myth. The alpha looked at Celine with something like wonder. But here she stands, half her father's pack, half her mother's power, rejected bloodline made strong. She is everything we were promised. Damien retrieved the wolf's fang from its shrine, a blade forged from the first alpha's tooth, glowing with ancient power. But as they prepared to leave, they found something unexpected, a stasis chamber, hidden in the sacred caves. And inside, Lily, Kyle breathed, his daughter, his baby girl who died 8 years ago in Marcus's attack. Except she wasn't dead, she was changed. Dhampir, the alpha said gravely, half vampire, half wolf. Marcus made her as an experiment. We found her during a raid 5 years ago and preserved her, hoping someone could save her. Kyle fell to his knees sobbing. His daughter, twisted by that monster into something between species, but alive. "Can you wake her?" he asked desperately. "The moonborn healers might manage it." The alpha nodded to his warriors. "We will transport her safely. Consider it a gift to our new Fang heir." Selena looked at Kyle, at this man who'd been her uncle, her teacher, her protector for 6 years, and made a decision. "Wake her," she commanded. "The first pack serves me now. Use your shamans. Do whatever it takes. Kyle gets his daughter back." The shamans worked through the night, chanting in old languages, using magic that predated modern packs. And as dawn broke, Lily's eyes opened. Grey eyes. Wolf and vampire combined. "Papa," she whispered. Kyle gathered her into his arms and wept. Day 14, Elder Headquarters. Arya led the assault with Orion strapped to her chest. The baby's glow had dimmed further. They had maybe 40 days left, maybe less. Her army was a patchwork of species. Moonborn warriors, wolves, vampires, witches, fae, all fighting together. It still looked wrong, felt wrong, but it was working. They hit Elder Headquarters like a storm. The building was ancient, carved from black stone, protected by magic that had stood for millennia. But Arya's white wolf form shattered wards like glass. Her daughter's gifts had awakened fully, and combined with her own power, they were unstoppable. Almost. Aldrich waited in the throne room, and when Arya saw him, her blood ran cold. He wasn't wearing a humanoid form anymore. He stood revealed, massive, serpentine, covered in scales that absorbed light. Not a vampire, not a wolf, not anything she recognized. "Lunar Queen," he said, his voice echoing from everywhere and nowhere. "So eager to die." "Where is my mother?" Arya demanded. "Here." Aldrich gestured, and Eleanor appeared, suspended in a crystal prison, aged rapidly, her hair white, her face gaunt. The celestial crown sat on her head, glowing with stolen power. "Mom!" Arya lunged forward. Aldrich's tail lashed out, sending her flying into a wall. "She stays, until the ritual is complete, until the goddess bows to me." They fought. It was nothing like Arya's previous battles. Aldrich was ancient, older than the elders themselves, she realized. He moved with perfect grace, his strikes calculated to kill. And Arya was dying. She could feel it. Orion's feeding, the strain of the war, the constant use of her power. It had drained her past safe limits. She was going to lose. Then Orion's glow flickered, went dark for just a second, and every magical being in the building felt it, the beginning of the end. The countdown reaching its final phase. "No," Arya gasped. "Not yet, please, not yet." But Orion's eyes opened, and they held galaxies. The baby looked at her with understanding no infant should possess, and smiled. "Mama," he said, his first word. "It's okay. She's coming." Light exploded from the baby, not the constant glow he'd had since birth, but something different. A beacon, a call, and the moon goddess answered. She appeared in the throne room, a figure of pure silver light, and her voice was Eleanor's voice, aged and loving. "Hello, daughter. I'm so proud of you." Arya stared. The ritual. Aldrich said he was enslaving the goddess. He was, but the goddess is me, has always been me. Elena smiled from within the crystal. I am her mortal avatar, and my death, my sacrifice, will free her to fully manifest. No, Arya ran to the crystal. I won't let you die. You don't have a choice, baby girl. Eleanor pressed her hand to the crystal, and Arya pressed hers to the other side. This was always my fate, to give my power, my essence, my life, so that you and your daughters could become what the world needs. The Trinity goddesses, Morgana breathed from the doorway. She'd fought her way through with the others. 3 aspects of the moon: daughter, mother, daughter. Elena nodded. Arya, Lyra, Selene. You will be divine. You will have the power to reshape the supernatural world, to end the Elder's reign, to save Orion and everyone else. But you'll be gone, Arya sobbed. I'll be everywhere. Eleanor's form began to glow. In the moonlight, in your daughter's laughter, in every moment of love and hope and unity you build. She looked at Aldrich, and her smile turned fierce. And I'll have the satisfaction of knowing I helped destroy you. The crystal shattered. Elena merged with Orion, her essence flowing into the baby and stabilizing his divine nature. The glow didn't fade. It transformed, became steady, safe, contained, and power flooded into Arya, Lyra, and Selene. They rose into the air, transforming, divine energy crackling around them. Not quite goddesses, but not quite mortal anymore. Something between, something new, the Trinity. Aldrich screamed, his stolen immortality, powered by Elena's life force, shattered. The other elders, still loyal to him, crumbled to dust as their borrowed power failed. Only Aldrich remained, and he revealed his true form, not a vampire, not an elder, a void dragon. The moon goddess's original enemy from the creation of the world. I see you've uncovered my secret, Aldrich, or whatever he truly was, hissed. His body expanded, filling the throne room. Scales like midnight, eyes like empty space. The elders were just puppets, tools to corrupt the goddess's children. But if I cannot rule this world, Lunar Queen. His maw opened, revealing darkness that wanted to swallow everything. I'll devour it. The final battle began. Arya and her daughters against a primordial force of destruction. Divine power against void hunger. Creation against annihilation. They were losing. Then, through the broken walls, came reinforcements. 37 children. The ones Marcus had kidnapped and tortured. Led by both Isidoras, the projection and the real girl, now awake and merged into one whole being. Led by Lily, Kyle's Dampier daughter. Led by every young supernatural who'd suffered under the old order. You hurt us, Isidora screamed, her voice carrying 300 years of pain. You made us afraid. You made us hate each other. No more. The children joined hands. Werewolf pups, vampire spawn, witch younglings, fae offspring, phoenix hatchlings, every species represented. And they channeled their power into the Trinity, not trained power, not controlled magic, just raw, innocent, pure energy that came from children who'd survived hell and chosen hope anyway. The combined force was devastating. Aldrich screamed as divine light and innocent power overwhelmed him. The cycle will repeat, another will rise. You've won nothing. We've won today, Arya said, driving her claws through his heart. That's enough. The void dragon exploded into nothingness, his final scream echoing across the supernatural world. The war was over. 6 months later, Arya stood in her rebuilt territory, watching the sun set on a world that had changed forever. The elders were gone. The old order had fallen. In its place, the moon-born coalition. A democracy where every species had representation, where unity was strength instead of weakness. It wasn't perfect. There were still tensions, still prejudice, still wolves who looked at vampires with suspicion and vice versa. But it was better, and better was enough. Mom, Lyra ran up, looking 14 now, but still moving like the 6-year-old she was inside. Celine and I finished the curriculum for next term. We're adding a class on cross-species history. The academy had been Aria's idea, a school where supernatural children learn together, regardless of species, where they could grow up seeing each other as friends instead of enemies. It was working. Slowly, carefully, but working. "That's wonderful, sweetheart," Aria hugged her daughter. Selene appeared with Isadora and Lily. The 3 girls had become inseparable: wolf, vampire and dhampir, a trio that shouldn't exist, but did. "The first pack sent another 50 warriors," Selene reported. At 6 years old, or 14 in appearance, she was already handling military logistics like a veteran. "They're requesting permission to establish a settlement near the academy. They want their pups to attend." "Granted," Aria smiled. The first pack, those primitive wolves, had become their strongest allies, all because Selene had proven her worth. Damien appeared from the house with Orion toddling beside him. The boy was 2 now, looking and acting like a normal child, except for the moments when his eyes went cosmic and he accidentally levitated toys. "Family meeting," Damien announced. "We have a situation?" They gathered in the main hall: Aria, Damien, the twins, Orion, Kale, with Lily, Lucian with both Isadoras, the real girl and her magical echo who'd chosen to remain as sisters. Morgana spread a map on the table. "There's been a discovery. A temple beneath the ocean. It predates the elders, predates everything we know." "What kind of temple?" Aria asked, though something in her gut already knew. "Dragon." Morgana pointed to markings on the map. "And inside, eggs. Dozens of them. They're hatching." Silence fell over the room. "I thought dragons were extinct," Lucian said. "We all did." Morgana's face was grim. "But apparently someone hid them away, preserved them, and now they're waking up." Aria felt it then, a pull in her chest, a connection she didn't understand. Like something calling to her from deep beneath the waves. "Mother," a voice whispered in her mind. "Young, confused, angry. Where are you? They promised you'd be here." The elders promised. "Where are you?" "I think," Aria said slowly, "we have another child, and I never gave birth to it." Her family stared at her. "Well," Damien said finally, sighing but smiling, "we always knew peace was temporary." The twins grinned. They'd grown up in war. Peace was almost boring. "Family meeting," Aria declared. "Looks like your mother has one more war to fight." "Our mother," Lyra corrected, taking her hand. "Our family," Selena added, taking the other. Orion toddled over and hugged her leg. "Venture?" he asked hopefully, his word for adventure. Aria looked at her mate, her children. Her found family of warriors and friends and former enemies who'd become allies, looked at the peace they'd built from ashes, looked at the scars they all carried. "Together?" Damien asked, echoing words from years ago. "Always," Aria replied. The moon rose full and bright overhead, and 3 wolf howls echoed across the new world they'd built, answered by thousands more. The prophecy was complete. The Lunar Queen had risen, and her children would ensure the dawn never faded. The End Epilogue. In the deep ocean temple, a small dragon emerged from its egg and looked around at the empty chamber, at the broken eldritch symbols carved into walls, at the dozens of other eggs beginning to crack. "Mother," it called, its voice echoing through the supernatural world, reaching every being. "Where is my mother? Where are my siblings?" The baby dragon's scales were white, pure white, like moonlight on water. "They told me you'd be here," it cried, confused and afraid and increasingly angry. "The elders promised. Where are you?" The ocean began to boil with the child's distress. Power unchecked, emotions wild. A baby god with no one to teach it control. Somewhere on land, Aria's hand went to her chest as the pull intensified. Another child. Another impossible addition to her family. And judging by the reports flooding in, earthquakes, tsunamis, whales beaching themselves in terror, this one was going to be complicated. She looked at Damien and smiled. Ready for round 4? He kissed her forehead. With you? Always. The Blackwood family prepared for their next adventure, because being the Lunar Queen's children meant peace was always temporary. But love? Love was forever, and together they could face anything, even dragons. To be continued. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily, and also to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.